Okay, so now I'm going to share, okay, the screen. Okay, can you see here in the screen the topic 4, slide for topic 4? All right. So basically, this is talking about adult education and social system. This seems is like how do we discuss from the perspective of adult and how the adult education happens in the social system. So in terms of social system here, it's about the surrounding, about the the ecosystem, talking about the community, right? Talking about organization, talking about the communities of practice. So this is a social system that we discuss for today, inshallah. And what's talking about the social system? Social system, it is comprehensive. So what's meaning a comprehensive? Meaning that they have the greater potential for description and integration of adult needs. Meaning that they are complement to each other because maybe it relates with the socio-economic, relate with the situation, and how do they generate income, and how about their routine, their daily life, the community itself. Talking about comprehensiveness. All right, comprehensiveness meaning that it's not meaning that standalone. He's talking about the potential surrounding of this. And of course, talking about the subjective leads. So what's meaning of subjective lead? So talking about the human behavior. So talking about their needs, their psychological needs, about their social system needs, psychosocial. All right. So wait for a while. I'm going to pick up the phone. Wait for a while. Okay, sorry. My wife called me. All right. So discuss about the provide subjective leads for all sectors of human behavior, meaning that talking about the psychological need, psychosocial needs, right? So all these things will be in the process of how do we looking on the subjective leads. And last but not least, the characteristic of social system discuss about the potential to provide a common language. So common language meaning that talk about the same thought, talking about the same culture, talking about the same meaning that routine. So all these things talking about the daily process, right? So this is a characteristic of social system, the way of they creating the language, right? They have a specific community. Let's say, for example, Aboriginal person who stay in the remote area, they have a specific language that maybe the outsiders not understand that. That is the element of the social system, meaning that they create the perimeter. Okay, they create a perimeter showing that this is one of the single bound social system. Okay, you got me. All right. Okay, any question about this, the characteristic of social system? Any question? Are you clear with it? All right. So now we're
Yes, sir.
talking about the. All right. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please do not, please do not forget to ask me, right, about this. Okay. So what's the system and systematic thinking? System, you're talking about things of part forming whole, meaning that you are creating your subculture, you're creating your culture, you're creating your perimeter, your bounded system here. So they're talking about the system. And of course, it's talking about the complex. It's a unity form of many often diverse parts subject to a common plan or serving a common purpose. So meaning that the system has been set up uh, formally or non-formally. Okay, it depends on the scenario that is talking about the system. All right, so you're creating, okay, the meaning that the one bounded. They're talking about the legitimate peripheral. Okay, legitimate peripheral situation. Talk about the system. And what is we call systematic thinking? Systematic thinking talking about how do you recognize the pattern, you conceive with unity, and of course talking about how do you discuss from the perspective of your school of thought. That's a systematic thinking. Systematic thinking can be individual, systematic thinking can be in a group, systematic thinking can be shared, okay, among among the certain number of the group. So that's why I'm talking about the systematic thinking. Okay, your school of thought, your belief, your belief. So what is the systematic thinking of the Malaysian? Okay, what is systematic thinking of the Malaysians? Anyone you know? Systematic thinking for Malaysians. What is systematic thinking? Rukun negara. Okay, rukun negara is a systematic thinking, meaning that we create this rukun negara, or either you're Indian, Chinese, Malay, Iban, Kadazan, Murut, right? So all of this kind of the ethnic, even though you have the system, you're creating your own system, but we have the same systematic thinking. All right, we talk about rukun negara. How about University Putra Malaysia? So of course, we developed our systematic thinking for UPM families. All right, we have the mission. We have a mission. How about the vision and mission with UKM? Of course, UKM is different, right? This is talking about the systematic thinking. You are creating the systematic thinking. Okay, representing of ourselves, representing our team. So the systematic thinking happen to adults. Okay, they happen to adults. Actually, the adults they have more system consists with element of the capable and being understood, because it's not easy, to change their understanding. It's not easy to change their thinking, their school of thought. Okay, so of course they're capable of being understood. Number two, we're talking about thought is patterned and imposed on the world as experienced by the perceiver. Perceiver meaning that you're talking about the pattern, talking about the experience, because the adults, they are living together with their families, they are living together with their community, living together with the community of practice of the work. So they have a lot of experience. So of course they are imposed, and at the same time they are meaning that develop their understanding on their experience, right? Number three is talking about the systematic thinking, the way on how do we think to understand the coherence and contactness, talking about the life, meaning that looking on what, talking about the routine, they are talking about the expectation, their spirits. So all these things talking about this thing, how to survive during COVID-19. So this is talking about this. I'm also a survivor. All right. So it's out of my expectation. My family affected with COVID-19, but yeah, there's a reality. I need to take care of my family as well. Yeah. So they're talking about the comprehension of the part, talking about the central, talking about the systematic thinking here, right? Talking about the central and talking about systematic thinking. And how do you talking about the thinking rules? So thinking rules basically is talking about the person itself, or maybe in a number of group, they interact and mutually influence each other's behavior. So meaning that you are being influenced, okay, by the culture. I give you some example. You join the company, all right? Let's say, for example, you join the Japanese company, and your friends join a European company, for example. You can see the two different behavior happen while both of you are working. Both of you are HR practitioner, but the way you practice that is different, okay, based on the culture of the organization. That's why you registered for the organizational behavior. Are you registered for the course? Kan? Kan organisasi kan, pembelajaran organisasi, right? Or learning organization learning. So this is talking about related with the systematic thinking rules. And it's based on this, you creating a bounded set, as I mentioned before. You're talking about the interrelated activities that together constitute a single entity, meaning that you are creating your own identity. Okay, let's say, for example, the football team. Okay, the way you cheers before you start game, right, is different compared to the another team, because you are develop your identity, you constitute a single identity. That is talking about the systematic thinking rules, right? So the thinking rules talking about the strategy, talking about the process, talking about implementation, and of course it's a part of evaluation as well to improve, okay, the way how do we practicing daily. So this is thinking about the systematic thinking rules. And normally systematic thinking rules we develop the school of thought, okay, as adults. Okay, as an adult, of course there are more tendency talking about the school of thought, and in terms of that they will help and direct them to create and formulate the program development, okay, according to their needs. Okay, that's talking about systematic thinking rules. So when talking about the system, there exists at all levels. It can be from the person, all right, meaning that person itself, communities. Okay, so what is the difference between communities and societies? Communities meaning that is talking about the perspective that close to the perspective, which is community of the village, community of the rumah taman, right? Community of apartment. So this is called a community. So a few numbers of community when combined together is called society. Okay, so society, you're looking from the macro context rather than communities is more micro. Okay, societies looking on the whole perspective here. And of course, we're talking about the community itself. We need to look from another perspective, which is related with the individual needs, which is talking about family itself. Family can be considered as one of the systematic thinking. It can be because the school of thought of family is different. Is it correct, Sugita? Right? We're talking about the Sugita, talking about Hanis Shamimi, talking about Amirul Ashraf. Three of you are coming from different family. Of course, the family oriented is something that influence yourself. Betul tak? Is it correct? Kan?
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of communication, kan? In terms of daily communication in the house, you guna bahasa apa? Apa kono ejang, kan? Guna bahasa Negeri Sembilan, kan? So this is talking about this. Mungkin kita, I don't know, maybe you are speaking with your family, you practicing India, not sure. You banyak cakap pakai bahasa India ke, bahasa Tamil ke, ataupun bahasa Inggeris kat rumah, atau bahasa Melayu?
I speak using Telugu, doctor. There's a language called
Telugu.
Telugu.
Telugu. That's right. This is talking about this. Even some of Indian family, they are not talking Telugu, they are talking Tamil, right? Is it correct? So kita, yeah? Even Chinese,
Yes, doctor.
some, yeah, even Chinese, some of Chinese family talk about Hokkien. Some of family talking about Cantonese. So this is different. Okay. Amirul cakap bahasa apa kat rumah? Syed Amirul cakap apa kat rumah? Bahasa apa?
Kelantan tu. Kelantan.
Kelantan tu. Mu asyik teh kan. Teh nanti teh tu pukul, betul Amirul? Kan? Teh tu pukul kan? Kan kalau orang Kedah tu babak nanti, kan? So dia benda-benda tu benda yang orang kata different. Alright, so benda tu dia akan create values. And in terms of organization, yes, can be some of the organization. Why adults? They are staying, they are loyal with the organization. Kan dia too loyal lah. Boleh katakan why they are too loyal, because they are happy in the system. Compared to the youngsters, they are start to searching the pattern. They don't know what actually they like. So that's why the commonly talking about turnover attention, it happened to the young workers. This is normal because they are searching. Okay, they are searching which is the culture that suit with himself, that they are comfortable. Some of the people, they are comfortable with Japanese culture. Some of you are compatible with the European culture. Some of you are familiar with the American culture. Some of you are familiar with the government culture. Okay, so they are creating the from the organization. And last but not least, talking about the cultures itself. Right, the cultures, it can be based on the belief. Okay, their understanding, the thought. Okay, and this is talking about the culture itself. All right. Okay, so any question until now? Are you clear with that? Okay, so
Yes, doctor.
okay, that's great. Okay, this is a system in organization. We're talking about the system itself, talking about the entropy. What's the meaning of equal entropy? Equal entropy meaning that something barah lah. Kan, it's something that people why your absence, for example, why you coming late? This is called equals entropy. So how do you cater this? Okay, as adults. So this is something like case study that I bring to you this morning. Okay. Okay, talking about the system, there's a total absence of the organization, then there is a total absence of system. So yeah, but normally absence is talking about equal entropy. So that's why talking about the organization, it refers to grouping and arranging of part to form a whole in order to put the system into working order. So that's why everyone need to know about their task, their job. Ada orang yang pergi kerja tak tahu apa. Why you are coming to my office? I didn't know how to do today. I don't have anything to do. I didn't have idea. I just wait. So there's something wrong. Okay. So meaning that you are not creating the system in organization. Of course, you have position. The position, maybe you do the specific task, you call job description. Okay. And you do your JD, right? You can imagine someone come to the office. What something that you're going to do this morning? I don't know. What is something wrong? Okay. All right, so it not should be happen in the organization. So the organization should have a system, and of course the system is secure, meaning that it expand and conserves energy to maintain the system, meaning that you're talking about the people. Energy, conserve energy, talking about the people, talking about the facility, talking about the financial, all right, talking about the infrastructure. So this talking about the conserve energy, because all these things will support the system. Let's say, for example, your company is meaning that healthcare services company, has healthcare-based company, all right? Of course, you have the utility, your equipment, your infrastructure belongs to the services, okay? Maybe your company is more on manufacturing. Of course, the equipment, okay, the tools, okay, let's say, for example, all the equipment is belongs to the machine, right? Want to provide the output. Okay, this is talking about how do you talking about the conserves energy, all right? And to maintain the system, they want to make it relevant. Of course, the infrastructure will be in line with the current needs. All right. Let's say, for example, you're producing a microchip, but your equipment is outdated. Okay, it's a last 10 years technology. Currently, our customer required for the new NTU technology, but you don't have, so meaning that it's not relevant. All right, your system is not relevant. That's why you need to maintain the system. All right. Okay. This is talking about the system implementation. So back to the perspective of adults here. We're talking about this. The adults are looking forward to ensure something that must be success. So that's why the system, okay, should be in line with them, together with them, so that they can develop, okay, something, school of thought, their accomplishment. So they're talking about this, is talking about the task of energy. All right, they must be in line, they must be in the same page. Okay, and of course, you're talking about the measures of effectiveness of organization. You're talking about the capacity. Of course, you're talking about the goals. Okay, and again, it's back to the components. So all these things should be in line with the system. All these things should be in line with the people. Should be in line with the resources. Should be in line with the organizational goals. Okay, organizational goals can be considered also in the community goals as well. It can be because they are talking about the group. This is called the social system. Okay, it can happen in organization. It can happen in the community. All right, it can happen in the family as well. Okay, so what is a community-based system? Before this, we're talking about from the perspective of organization. So now we are discussed from the perspective of community. All right, compared to the community, compared to the organization, compare from the organization more looking on the profit oriented. They have the mission, and of course they are profit oriented and administrative oriented. It depends on the organization. But right, for the community-based system, it's different. Even though we can see same media principles, but this is something that would be little bit different compared to the organizational system. Compared to the community system most dynamic. Why the dynamic? Because you can see the diversity of the people inside of the community. Right? Betul lah kan? Setiap orang panggil tak sama kan? The same different behavior. Alright? Jiran kita pun tak sama kita. But they are complement to each other. That's why the element of creativity and relevant components of adult education would be happen in the community. Okay? Because we know that you have the different background, okay, different culture, different belief. So of course, all right, it's related with this kind of the situation. And of course, this is a role of the community education, because how do we see from the interactive challenging process? So what is talking about the interactive challenging process? So we're talking about how you make a decision. So in terms of decision, you need to have the methodology. So what is the methodology? The process on how do you get the information before you make a consideration, before you make the decision. All right. So this talking about the process of the community itself. And of course, the community also is a base system. What is the community of education? So the community education is education and learning which is rooted in the process of empowerment, social justice, change, challenge, respect, and collective consciousness. So what is meaning of the collective consciousness? So meaning that collective consciousness talking about the mutual understanding. Okay, you're consciously you make a decision. you make something like, say for example, the consensus. So this is talking about how do you formulate the adult education program. All right. So adult education program should be fair for them, can be changed, okay, for the betterment. How do you turn the challenge into the opportunity? Of course, you respect their needs. You try to cover their needs, and of course, as last but not least, the decision based on the consciousness. All right. And of course, this is talking about the within the community and of the community. We're talking about reflecting the developing needs of individual and their local. And of course, it's talking about the capacity of local communities itself to engage in developing responses to educational and structural disadvantage. So again, it's based on the decision making. It's talking about the policy formulation. This is based on the community needs. That is the idea of the community of education. Meaning that you do the education program, you develop and formulate the adult education program should be based on their needs, not our needs. Okay, again, this is the philosophy why we discuss about the community education. It should be based on their needs. It is talking consideration about, about the social justice, talking about empowerment, talking about change, all right? Talking about how do you develop the mutual respect between you and the client, okay, which is the adult itself, and how do you have the collective consciousness? This is a very, very important. So if you meaning with this part, meaning that you are together and working with them. You are not working alone. With Liverpool, you will never work alone, right? So this happen to this. Okay. This is how you discuss from the Committee of Education. Okay. This is talking about the community education. All right. So this is a key characteristic of the community education. Okay. As I mentioned before, we're talking about the community education. We're talking about deep knowledge, and refers to the values. Values we meaning that bukan nilai, bukan nilai 3, bukan nilai 9. Values is meaning that your belief, alright, your thought. The culture, how do you practicing it? And the sentence talking about the community needs and capacity. That's the number 1. Okay, this is a key characteristic. While you develop the formulate program for adults, make sure the number 1 criteria should be in line. Okay, in part of that. Number 2, it must be problem solving and it's flexible. Okay, because your program that you formulate the program should be help them, okay, to solve the problem. So how do you want to find the problem? Of course, you need to do the situational analysis, okay, to identify what is the needs, okay, of the adults, right? That is number 2. Number 3, you focus on the process rather than syllabus. So how do you define the process and syllabus? Process and syllabus, 2 different things. Syllabus, you have a 10 topic, so you need to fulfill all the 10 topics. Get rid whether they are happy or not, get rid whether they are available or not. You will focus only on the syllabus. So that does not happen in the community education. When talking about the adult education, it should be based on the process. Is it clear? Right? Are you clear with that? Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
are you clear?
Doctor.
Yes,
Right?
doctor.
Okay. And how do you ensure the process? You need to identify the needs. That's number 1. Okay, you need to identify the needs. You need to design that. Okay, from the needs, you design, you implement, and of course, you adapting. What is you talking about adapting? Make sure that they are in line with the process. Okay. Right. This talking about the respect for participants and reflection. Talking about the life experience. Talking about the commitment. Talking about the approach. Okay, their needs, and of course, they're talking about the interest of adult. Okay, what is talking about interest of adult? What they want. So it must be in line with that. You need to respect that. If not, if you are not respecting their needs, okay, you are not matched with the process of the andragogy, meaning that the adult education principles. So the program will not be taken on part of them, right? So meaning that they will not feel that this is their program. They're saying that this is your program, not their program. Okay. And of course, talking about the promotion of the personalized learning and flexibility within the environment. We're talking about the environment of the learning group. Okay, this is very, very important, the environment of learning group. Okay, so this is talking about the community education model for the transformation, talking about the process where you help, okay, the community Okay, which is how do you make sure the process in a community education in a proper way, meaning that you're creating a relationship is very, very important. Okay, you're creating a relationship. And of course, you're talking about the traditional view, talking about the teachers, actually the holds the knowledge and power. You decide everything, right? So meaning that all these things comes from teachers. That is talking about the traditional views. Okay, of course, teachers refers to the instructor. Teachers refer to the extension agent. Teachers refer to the HR personnel. The teachers refers to the people who are develop the community development program. Okay, that's the meaning of that. They hold the power, the knowledge, and of course everything. By right, you're talking about the process of community development. It should be different, meaning that this perspective should be changed. All right. We're talking about the community development, talking about the process of development of adults. You need to share the power, meaning that power is shared equally. All right. And of course, we're talking about the process of education. We're talking about the participation. We're talking about the education process itself. And again, we're talking about the participants identify what knowledge is most useful to them. And this is agenda is pursued in a flexible developmental way. All right. Okay, this is how you discuss from the perspective of this. Okay, we're talking about the power shared equally and you participate them together. Right, this is the idea for the transformation program for adults itself. This is a community dimension in community education. Remember, the community education, like say, for example, for the adult program, okay, should be holistic. Holistic meaning that they cover all these things. This should be inclusive rather than exclusive. Okay, or this certain group, this program only can join by this group. This join only this group. You need to have the so this is called exclusive. Meaning that the holistic education should be inclusive, meaning that you will cater all the needs of adults. Okay, all right, and it should not saying that okay, this program should be joined by the certain number of the party members. This number should be catered for this group. We don't want that. So meaning that you develop and creating the inclusiveness of this, but in talking about exclusiveness of the program, but it's supposed to be inclusive. All right. And community education is a collective and responsive. So much meaning of collective, you're taking all the consideration, all right, the needs, the requirement, the problem, okay, and you be responsive. So of course the program will respond, okay, to the needs. Talking about the community education, again, we're talking about acquisition of knowledge, skills, and most importantly, talking about the self-development, right? You will have at the end the self-development, the individual skills. And again, we talk about the community education. Community education refers to the capacity of the interact as a group. You work on the local issues, right? All right, work on the local issues. You want to solve the problem there. And of course, in terms of understanding this, you will analyze, okay, this thing from the situation. All right. So as a good program developer for adult education, you need to analyze, okay, the situation and what actually the communities want. Okay, this is talking about how do you formulate the program. All right, so this is outcome of community education. We're talking about the outcome here, talking about individual outcomes should be confidence, and is talking about the self-esteem. Of course, the outcome of the community education, you improve the confidence and self-esteem. You improve your communication skill because you'll be able to talk, you'll be able to share your thinking, your values, you'll be able to commit, okay, and to reach the specific goals. So increase knowledge, skills, and competence. All right. And we're talking about the motivation and expectation. Okay. All right. And again, we're talking about educational and life choices. Talking about the awareness of self and community. Talking about the critical thinking and analytical thinking skills. And of course, at the end, you can reward them by the accreditation. Okay, you can be give your certificates and so forth. Right. Okay, it's talking about the community education. It's talking about individual outcome, right? And at the end, you reward them and give the accreditation. Okay, so any question about it? Talking about the community education, talking about individual outcomes. Any question?
Oh, doctor.
All right, so you are clear with that, right? Okay, so what's actually talking about the outcomes of community education? So meaning that you're talking about the outcomes of community education, talking about the collective outcome. So the collective outcome meaning that you are shared these values. Okay, you are shared these values. So what is something that you want to share? It's talking about the mutual support. So mutual support meaning that you are complement to each other and you have the function, you're creating the roles and you're creating the positive responsibility. Okay, this is called a mutual support. That's why from the adult education program that you implement, okay, later on in organization, in the community, all right, you need to have that kind of the mutual support, meaning that they know their roles, their function as well. And again, you're looking for planning for change. You need to have this kind of things that how you're going to change. And of course, the action to tackle the social and community issues. So talking about the social and community issues is mostly like, say, for example, this happen every day, this happen in the daily, but how do you handle this? This is action to tackle the social and community issues. And how about talking about the development of social consciousness and analysis? It's based on talking about the how do you ensure the process. We're talking about development of capacity to influence policy and decision making, something that maybe you can advise, okay, this perspective. And last but not least is ability to organize, okay, for the personal and group development. So we're talking about how do you organize this thing, talking about the personal, talking about the group. So again, this program should be holistically cater, okay, the needs, okay, of the adults, because we're talking about the personal development and talking about the group development. Okay, the adults, of course, they're talking about their not themselves. There's normally adults, they look forward for themselves, and the certain number of group. The group should be the family, the group should be the community itself, right? The group should be, yeah, related in presenting their their organization, for example. Okay, all right. This is talking about the collective outcomes. And this element, okay, element of the community education model. What is the meaning of the elements of the community education model? So first of all, you're talking about the outreach work. So outreach work, you're talking about, yeah, you do the program, and of course the outreach work helping you to, to get the benefit from the participation as well. And outreach work can give you some idea, and maybe you can get the benchmark, okay, the positive benchmark for the outreach work. Okay, so outreach work is something like helping you, okay, to give you the idea from your outreach. They will give you some, we give you a solution, all right, the strategy on how to make it, all right. Okay, this is talking about the number two, is talking about the consultation. Of course, during the process, you can deliver this, and of course, you can facilitate the process. Remember, your role here as a HR practitioner, not just to teach them, but you facilitate them, right? That is a called element of consultation. And of course, we're talking about the community education model here. We're talking about the pre-development. What's the meaning of pre-development? So pre-development is a very important for you to meaning that to create the rapport. So to create the rapport, okay, to make it in a group to bond, right? It should be relaxed. And of course, at the end, you will build the confidence. And of course, we're talking about the with enjoyment. So pre-development, mostly likely that you develop, okay, the understanding, you develop the needs, the cultures, you identify these things. So this is a part of the pre-development. And basically, while you going to execute this thing, it must be flexible. So flexible provisions will mean that it should be catered with the time. Let's say, for example, you have the program, outreach program for community of fishermen, right? You want to help the adults group, okay, to meaning that to think about the, say for example, you want to have the program with them. So is it possible that you have this program in the morning? So maybe this is not suitable for the morning. Maybe this program should be maybe at the late evening and maybe in the afternoon, right? So wait for our Okay, all right. So sorry. Okay, we should continue about the flexible provision. Again, it depends on the time, location, and program content. Because again, you need to suit with their routine. You know about their socio-academic background. You must be in line with that. Okay, like say for example, fisheries, the fishermen, the fishermen, they many that they are not be able to make it a program in morning, for example, because of course they are going to the seas. Okay, they are catching the fish, so they have no time. Okay, to cater with this community of fishermen. Okay, so normally you need to do this study, and normally, yeah, of course, maybe during a rainy season, then they are not go to the sea to catch the fish. That's the best time for you to do the program. Okay, December, November, all right, and maybe you need to identify all these things based on the weather. Number two, maybe during the period, maybe what time basically they are relaxed, right? So normally maybe you can look from the perspective of timing, maybe the late evening, all right? So this is talking about the best time that you can meet them into the program, for example, right? Okay, most commonly, of course, during the season, maybe they are not catch the fish, so it's the best time for you to, yeah, to have this kind of the program. And last but not least, is talking about the reflective evaluation. What is meaning of reflective evaluation? Meaning that you do some evaluation, you do some reflective evaluation, okay, to ensure their center and programs evolve and develop good practices. This is keep of seems like an element of monitoring, all right, element of monitoring. And let's say, for example, you bring a new things, you bring a new innovation to the group of adults, you bring a new things for them. It's the best thing that you need to monitor. All right, you need to monitor and keep always monitoring them. Depends on the situation. Maybe on the beginning of the process, maybe you need to have the very frequent monitoring. Compare then after they can implement and can do by their own. Maybe you can have the schedule monitoring. All right, you can make it not like they said at the beginning that you need to close monitoring them, but slowly, okay, slowly you empower them. That is the element of the reflective evaluation. All right, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, alhamdulillah, we finished discuss about this big topic, talking about the what is a community's education to create the social system as well. All right, so any question? Any question about this today's topic? Any question? Any question, ladies and gentlemen?
So there's a question in chat box.
Okay, yes, please, in chat box. I have a question. I understand that community education focuses on problem solving, but can you give us some example of community education? Like what do they learn? Yeah, this is a good thing. Normally, of course, we try to cater and to solve the problem according to their needs, right? Let's say, for example, they are affected with COVID-19, okay, in the community. So, how do you develop and try to formulate the program, which is related with the how do they generate the income? Okay, for example. So this is example that from the perspective of the problem, you bring that as opportunities to give them the education, the new education, which is how do they generate the income. Let's say, for example, in one of the type of that, how do we marketing your product using internet? Okay, meaning that how you meaning that how do you marketing and how do you sell? Okay, the product, the strategy to sell your product in online platform, for example. That is a community education, meaning that you deliver the how do we meaning that selling and marketing your product via online. That is a component of education. All right. So the component of education itself, you want to teach them, you want to help them, or maybe you are a person that coordinate that. You will invite some speakers, right, to talk about it. All right. Maybe you will appoint some facilitator. Okay, or maybe you are become a facilitator of that. So that is the education that you want to bring to the community. That's why community education happen. Right? Okay. Let's say, for example, in the organization, you're always looking people that the element of absenteeism and latecomers. How do you handle this absenteeism and latecomers? Of course, you need to know about what is the problem, right? Okay, you know about the problem, and of course, you want to solve the problem, absenteeism and latecomers. You try to understand the situation. Maybe it's up to you what type of strategy that you want to know about it. Maybe you can ask the supervisor, you can ask the peers, okay, the members, right? Maybe you can ask himself. Of course, you need to get from himself why they can be late. So you know that this is based on the attitude. It's not based on a problem of family, so on and so forth, because the attitude. So what is the best thing that you want to do this thing? Of course, you start slowly to educate them. So what is talking about educating them? Of course, you propose for the team building program, for example. Let them know that their roles in the organization. Let them proud, okay, their position, their work in the organization. Let them believe that they are contribute something to the organization. So how to make it? You can have the team building program, for example, or motivational training program. We have frequent special program for them, right? So let them be proud, not saying that you go for this program because you are coming late, you are absenteeism. Not. You need to change. You need to create a new narrative so that they are being motivated to join this program because this program tailor-made for them, not because of their weaknesses, not because of their problem. So they're being proud. Okay. So let's say for example kita nak bagi naik pangkat, so this is a program that one of the program that help you, okay, in preparing you as a supervisor, as a leaders, for example. So they feel motivated, right? But actually this program actually want to cater this thing. So again, that is element of education. All right. So you want to encourage them, and of course the content of the program, intervention program you do, is a community of education program. Okay, clear? Meaning that is the transition after you identify the problem and you move to the education. That's your question. So I try to help you to understand this. You clear, Nabila? All right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any question? All right. Ada soalan lagi? Okay, if you don't have any question, I think this topic has been implemented well. All right, never mind. I don't want to take longer time before discussing about this. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you the simple activity for today. All right. So, the simple activity today here we discuss about the topic number 4 again. So, in the perspective of the elements of community education model, you choose only one. You can go for the internet. You can do some reading. All right. Yeah, let me share about this again. Okay, share. Okay, all right. Okay, this component, element of the community education model. So you can see here. All right, you can see this. All right. So you choose only one. You choose only one. Okay, from this element. Try to explain based on your understanding. Okay, explain on your understanding. You can do your reading work. You can do your reading from internet. It's up to you. All right. You can watch the video YouTube, for example. It's up to you. All right. You choose only one. Try to discuss how do we ensure this strategy as a part of the education model for the adults. Let's say, for example, you choose for consultation. So what kind of the consultation supposed to suit for the adults' needs? What type of the consultation that you feel? So this is an example. You choose only one. You choose only one. There's only one page activity. Okay, one page activity. Make it one page. Is smart, simple, and significant. All right. Okay. Right. SMS. Smart, meaningful, and significant. I don't want you to write many pages. Susah saya nak baca. I have 58 students. So berapa student register Sujita? Kita ada 58 Kita ada berapa student total in total?
52.
52. Thank you very much, Sujita. So at least I need to read 52 pages. Banyak kan? Tak apa. Only one page per student. You discuss based on your perspective. How do you relate this with the adult education model? All right. Now discuss from perspective of community. So how do you discuss perspective of adult? All right. So you just take only one and elaborate one page. It's okay. Okay. All right. So you can submit. I think next week before 10 p.m. 10 p.m. next week. on Tuesday. Okay, on Tuesday. So the class is not on Wednesday. So the Tuesday, the last submission will be at 10 p.m. All right, 10 malam. Inshallah, I will create this link in Padlet. Okay, for the assessment. It's not assessment. It's called student activity week 4. Okay, under student activity week 4. All right, you can send that in the Putra Blast. Okay, any question about it? All right. So I hope that I leave you to about this assessment so that you can do during these two from now you can do it. Okay, don't breaking your time, don't delay it. You can do it now after this. Okay, and you can send to Putra Blast. Okay, any question? Ladies and gentlemen, any question?
No,
Ada soalan?
doctor.
All right, if you have another question, yeah. So now the class is the end. I leave it to the activity so that you can send to Putra Blast. Okay. All right. So Sugita, you have any announcement for the group, for the books committee, the progress itself?
Yes, doctor. Me and my committee have discussed that maybe we are going to make the book into ebook. It's not going to be a physical book.
Okay. All right. Meaning that you want to make as an ebook, ebook. All right. So please try to read about the instruction. You can have the earlier reading about try Google about the ebook. So what something that you need to prepare, as I know that you need to create the link, the platform. So try to study about it so that you can start now your team. Okay, to set up. I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm okay with that. Either you want to make a physical book or online book, it's up to you. All right, I'm okay with that. So meaning that the application will be ESPN. You try to look on the rules and regulation, what need to prepare. Okay, so that you can have time to prepare for that. Okay, jangan buat last minute lah. We start from it now.
Okay, doctor.
Okay, all right. Any question about it? Ada soalan?
No, doctor.
Okay, all
Not for
right.
now.
Okay, so if you have any question, you can ask me. So for those who want to go for the organization, please do not forget to, if you have need the letter, okay, please let me know. All right, you can download, the template of the letter from my Padlet, right? Then you can email to me. So once you email, please text me, okay, to acknowledge me that you have sent, okay, the letter. I will do some signature and we pass it to you. Then after on you can use, all right, to go to your organization. Okay, all right. Any question? Ada soalan lagi? Right. So good luck everyone. So try to manage yourself. Sugita, this is my point of view. You can discuss with your team members, meaning that to submit the draft at least week 9, so that you have time, the editorial team, to do some revisions and so forth. Of course, our presentation will be held on the week 9, but of course, you have done the draft, right? You have done the draft. So during their presentation, if something that input that I giving to you that you need to add, or maybe your friends giving the suggestion to improve the draft, you can still improve the draft, right? You can still improve the draft later on. No need to worry about it. Okay, because a day before we go for the to publish this, we can still do some editing, no problem, right? But you need to prepare the draft earlier, submit to the committee, editorial committee, I think by week 9 or week 10, so that you have time to do some revision, editorial team, you can have the review, okay, the English, okay, and of course, you can plan for the design, all right, designer, of course, the designer, they have an idea on how to come up with the book chapter and book covers and so forth, and during a week 12, you can send to Perpustakaan Negara, okay, national library. You can application via online, okay, so you can get me know about it, because you can use my password and ID to apply, okay, you can use my ID and password to apply. We will give you later on, so that you can apply using online ISBN, and after that, once we get this ISBN, we can plug it into our draft, okay, dekat kita punya buku belakang, surat belakang buku kita, dan juga kat depan in nombor ISBN tu, okay, our ISBN number, and we can have the book launching ceremony on the week 14. Okay, we can do online, no problem. Okay, we can do via online, our book launching ceremony.
Okay,
Okay, all right. So try to make it. Okay, so you can start now. Actually, don't wasting your time. You can start go for the calculation now. No problem. All right. So let me know if you need the letter. Okay. All right. So shall we have the photography session as your attendance? Yeah.
Yes,
So
doctor.
what? Okay. Who want to snap the picture?
Me, doctor.
All right. Thank you very much, Sugita.